What is going on, Sports Code Fiends? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. And today we are here on eBay to do a little bit of digging. Wanted to get into something that I feel like is really important if you're getting into USMNT cards or if you're just getting into cards in general, especially in the soccer side of it. A lot of people like to use pop reports to see what kind of population there is for their card. However, with soccer, there hasn't been a ton of cards submitted until the last year or two. And so with that, you can't get a great idea by pop reports where cards are and where players are and how rare it all is. So wanted to take a peek here at the USMNT in particular and show you how I go about it. So on eBay, the most important thing for me and kind of finding out the pops is just to look up someone like a 2019 Sargent Dest and then take a peek at how many sold listings or just how many listings there are. There's 83 listings there. If I go down to sold items, then there are 52. So, as you could tell, not a ton of listings in the 2019 category. Maybe we put it on over to 2020, and then we'll see that kind of explodes to 609. So that's the idea of what I'm talking about in this video. More so the explosion that we've seen over the last year or two, and right there you've seen it demonstrated quite easily. But I wanted to go through basically the USMNT's main players and kind of see what their pop reports are or their eBay listing reports are, and we can get an idea from there. So we'll start with 2016 Christian Pulisic. Main cards from this are his 2016 Select, 2016 Donruss. He also has 2017 Topps Chrome that some people like, but as you can tell, decent amount of cards, especially for 2016. Pulisic did have a pretty big release, as you can see, 380. However, he does have just a lot of cards in general. I know I've listed like the main few, but there's also the WCCF, there's some stickers, there's just a lot of things. There's some first caps right here that you can see, the Panini aficionado. Like, there's just there's a lot, we'll just say that. So that's a good example of just because it's from 4 or 5 years ago in soccer doesn't necessarily mean it's low pop. Pulisic was a pretty big name at the time, so they did a good job at getting him in a bunch of different products, as you can tell. So 380 there for Pulisic, not terribly high, but actually pretty high given the year. Beyond that, we'll move out over to Weston McKennie in 2018. Again, he also has a decent bit here. We will say that, I mean, in terms of the total amount of products he was in, it wasn't really that bad. It was just Optic and Topps Chrome, and so you really don't have too many options. There's Donruss as well, but just going through, as you can see, mostly Donruss and Optics, kind of the main things that you'll notice here. Whenever I go on over to other players from that year, the 2018 set was massive for the USMNT in the sense that it has Weston McKennie, Josh Sargent, also Timothy Waya, plenty of, maybe not plenty of others. There are a couple others that are kind of mixed in there, but lesser names. You got Zach Steffen as well, and you could add a couple other people, but I'm not gonna. Beyond that, you have Josh Sargent here, 137 listings. This one's a little weird. I'm not really sure why. I figured Josh Sargent's been not really doing great lately, so maybe a lot of people would want to get out on his cards, and so I figured the listings wouldn't be half as many as Weston McKennie, so it's a little strange. However, that's what you kind of have to do with sets like this, is you have to not only look at one person, you have to look at a collective of different players. A little dog squeak in there in the background, but look at a collective of different players and kind of average that out. Moving on over to Timothy Waya here, we have another 2018 rookie. He's got some Topps Museum as well in this year, and Waya actually had a pretty decent release compared to most others, so also kind of strange to see him at the 130 mark, or the 170 mark, I guess. And my rationale as to why Weston McKennie would have so much is because he had a Topps Chrome release for Bundesliga and a Topps Chrome release for Champions League, and so I'm guessing that is why he has so many, when people like Josh Sargent didn't have anything in terms of Champions League and Topps Chrome for that year, and Tim Waya only had Topps Chrome for Champions League and not as much for League On. So I think that's kind of what it comes down to, and that's why Weston McKennie has so much out there, and maybe why Timothy Waya and Josh Sargent, if they were to become good stars on the team, could be a little undervalued. Going beyond that, 2019, we have Giovanni Reyna. This is actually a pretty lucky one, considering that he's a really big star, and if he would have popped onto the scene a little earlier this year, he might have actually had a ton of pop. However, the only things he's really in from this year is Topps Now, Topps Chrome, and Topps Museum, And as you can tell, most of it's pretty pricey. Let me go on over to the lowest listings, and we'll go to buy it now, see what we got. Yeah, I mean, as you can tell, not too great. This Topps Living does say 2019 on the back, so I don't think anyone grades it as 2019 though. Oh, never mind. BGS does. Okay, well, I don't know how that's going to play out over time. We'll see though. But yeah, so someone like Giovanni Reyna got a little lucky in the sense that 2019 probably should have been printed more. However, he just appeared on the scene late and didn't make it into too many cents. Beyond that, we have Sergio Dennis, as you also saw from earlier when I peeked at it, 2019. Not too many products released for him. He's in a little sticker set there from Topps Champions League, and he also has the Topps Museum RPAs and WCCF as well. I actually never really seen this WCCF, but that's interesting. Not at $300, but you know, maybe a little less. But overall, it's kind of weird to see how it plays out, because as you could tell, depending on the player, there's been a lot of weird little niche spots in 2019 and 2020. I'll continue on to another one, I believe, right here. With Pepe, it's pretty wild. He doesn't have anything other than Bowman as his 2020 rookie, and it actually has a rookie card logo on it, so Bowman did a good job with that. As you can tell, because of the low pops, that's why this has exploded as much as it has. His 2021 stuff is now out in Topps Chrome, and I don't think it has a rookie sticker on there. It doesn't appear so. So with that, the Bowman's essentially his only rookie, and it's so low supply that once we go on over here, again, 2020, everyone's listing the 2020, 2021 in here, so really you should look up Bowman, but his base Bowman goes for 150, and I'm sure there's numbered stuff goes for, yeah, over 500, as you can see right there, 900 for an out of 75, just wild. I think Ricardo Pepi prices are absurd, because, I mean, honestly, I just don't know what happens with this card. Like, are you expecting the out of 75 to go to $2 grand, $3 grand, $4? I don't know where people expect it to go, because Pulisic stuff hasn't really made it there in any regard other than some extremely rare stuff. Gio Reyna hasn't as well, and I love Pepe, but I don't see him at the same level as those guys yet. He has scored some goals for us, and I appreciate it, but I just don't see it the same way. So interesting though that he has so few cards, and that's why honestly there's been so much money flowing into those few cards, because that's just kind of supply demand. That's how that works. And then on to 2020 Conrad De La Fuente. Actually probably would make more sense to throw it as 2021. Guess it doesn't really matter. Either way, Conrad De La Fuente actually doesn't have as many listings as I would have figured. You got to keep in mind though, with the newer packs, there's still going to be packs being open. There's still going to be a lot more product that's going to have to hit the market. So for something like 2016 Pulisic, so those have mostly been fleshed out and divvied up between collectors and investors and whoever else, while a lot of this product still could just be sealed and waiting for its new home. So you have still some supply on this, but with Conrad, he's in quite a few different releases. You can see here, Topps Merlin. He also has Topps Chrome, Topps Sapphire, and Topps Museum. I know he's in there as well. Stadium Club. There's a lot, and that's why it kind of becomes difficult with the players after 2020, 2021, because basically these companies know that we want these cards, and so they are making these cards, and they're making a lot of different ones. And Topps Finest right here, it's just, there's so many, and I guess that's kind of the problem, is that, let's see what the lowest listings are here for some buy it nows. So as you can tell, base cards going for $2, $3. Whenever that's the case, it's actually hard to get people to even want to go out and sell them. I mean, this is literally $1, like $1.1 if you kept it at ComC. So that's an example of why there's probably not as many listings for Conrad, because people just don't even find it worth it to list his base stuff at this point. And so he has 300 listings, which is almost as most as anyone else that we've seen, and this isn't even including most of his base stuff because no one can probably sell it. So that's an example of kind of where we are at the moment. It's tough. I think that Conrad's a real good example of kind of where the market's going to go, and a true example that if you want to really hit it big on these guys, you're going to have to be very picky on what you get into, because it's already a gamble as is on prospects. I mean, just hear me out. So whenever we look at this Topps Merlin Conrad De La Fuente, so for this card to actually be worth something, essentially the card market has to do well, right? Because if the card market isn't doing well, it's going to be a lot harder. The player has to do well, which Conrad, I love him, but I can't guarantee he's going to be on the 2022 World Cup roster. I can't even guarantee we'll be there. There's just so many different factors at play for him as a player, and then you also have to worry about the set and the print runs and how much demand there's going to be. So there's too many external variables at this point to really get all too enticed by the newer rookies. Now, if they really start to prove themselves, then I'll hop in, of course, and ride the ride. But until then, I can't really find it to be that worth it. It's a little scary. So that's what this video is mostly about, just demonstrating kind of what the difference is between year to year here. There's some great niches in the 2019, like I threw out there with Giovanni Reyna, the 2020 with Ricardo Pepi. There's great niches, but then there's also really just oversaturated cards that you might want to avoid. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the scroll through eBay. I'll be doing some more hard-hitting comparisons, talking about USMNT players, their prices, their pops, and where I see that going forward, because that's a lot of fun for me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. On top of that, anything you'd like to let me or others know, let me know in a comment down below. If you want to see more informative videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. And with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.